So almost exactly to the day 10 years ago, I made a decision that completely changed the trajectory of my life. It didn't seem like that big of a deal at the time, but I decided to launch a podcast. Fast forward to this week and we had a big announcement from one of our portfolio companies. We were in Brisbane and Sydney running dinners for successful founders, executives and investors. We added new members for Komo and so much more. And none of this would have been possible if I didn't take that first step and that first big leap 10 years ago. Hi there. All right, just landed in Brisbane and tonight we're doing our very first Komo dinner. To be honest, I'm not really sure what to expect. Obviously we're doing this with the intent of building connections, networks, meeting people that might be potential partners, potential collaborators or potential members. But it could also happen that we fly around, spend a lot of money doing these dinners at really nice venues and nothing comes of it. And, I think that's kind of the point. Some of the best things in my life have come when I've just taken bets on things and you don't have a guaranteed outcome. You're just trying to increase your surface area of luck. You're just trying things and seeing what comes of it. I think the best example for me is I started the podcast 10 years ago. I'd listened to a handful of episodes before I decided to launch a podcast. I could not have imagined all of the things that came off the back of it, and it took a long time for it to go anywhere, but it is probably the single most life-changing thing that I've done in my life. And I think, that ability to bet on yourself, bet on things, and remove the expectation of outcome from it is where I've seen that work, not just for myself, but a lot of other people as well. Excited to see, what kind of comes from the dinner tonight and from the dinners in Sydney this week and Melbourne next week. But excited to learn, excited to bring together a great group of people. Right, I should probably go get my bag. So I don't know why things are always a little bit chaotic before events, but there's always something going on. So as per usual, there's a lot of communications with everyone coming along tonight. There's some prep that I have to do before that happens as well. But before any of those things happen, I actually had to go pick up some stuff at Office Work. So we've got little postcards. And something that I haven't shared with you yet is that we have been going through a little bit of a rebrand with Komo, with our website, and we wanted to launch all of that, even just privately, but wanted to get it ahead of the dinners that we're doing. So today's just been a little bit of a mad dash trying to get everything done. The website is now live, and I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek at the new brand. So, as I just mentioned, we have been going through a little bit of a rebrand. So let me show you what this looks like. New logo, new messaging, all kind of similar messaging, but we are going back. Instead of using the name The Komo Club, we decided to strip it back to just Komo.
Drop just Facebook. It's cleaner.
The reasoning for this was just kind of thinking through the future direction that we want to head in with the company. Also, I think just being very mindful of the connotation that we're giving to people. Club can sound both very wellnessy, but also very community. And although those are kind of core elements of what we do, we didn't want to get typecast as one thing. It also means that we have the opportunity to sort of bring back the name of the Komo Club as a product suite of its own, and there's some thoughts that I've got on that down the line. Okay, just about to arrive at the venue now. As I mentioned, chaos up until the end, but we're here and really looking forward to meeting everyone. There's a couple of people that I know, a few existing Komo Club members, but also quite a few people that I've never met. So really looking forward to getting to meet everyone, saying hello, and hopefully having a fun night. Alright, so we just wrapped up the Brisbane dinner. I think it went well. I think there's definitely some lessons that we sort of took away from this event that we will update and change for future events that we run like this. But overall, I think in terms of what we wanted to create, which was a great atmosphere, people learning, connecting, meeting each other. I was very surprised to learn that a lot of the Brisbane people hadn't met each other before. So I guess it's always nice to be the facilitator and connector to bring people together. And organised a bunch of meetings with people for tomorrow, where we'll get to talk about what we do a little bit with Komo in a much more relaxed setting, where there's not a lot of craziness and noise. But no, overall, happy with how it went. Like I said, definitely some learnings that I want to sort of take for future events, but all in all, I think it was pretty positive, and excited to host the next event in Sydney. All right, it is the morning after the Brisbane dinner. It is currently 4:12 in the morning. Last night was fun. I did come home and just crash as soon as I got back, but I, for better or worse, stupidly agreed to join a networking event at 6:45 this morning, and then have a bunch of sort of back-to-back meetings today, which is good. I guess that's kind of the main reason and purpose that I'm here. But there's a few things that I need to get done. I wanted to sort of edit and see if I can publish the first live systems episode. This is taking me a lot longer than I want, and I think part of it is just overcoming my own internal inner monologue of just this strive for perfection and trying to make it better and better and better. I've kind of rewatched it and cringing over it and all of those sort of things, but I think I just need to pull the trigger and get it out there. And then importantly, this morning there's a big announcement coming up as well from one of our portfolio companies, Everlab, and so I have been sort of holding off on sending out an investor update to folks until sort of the announcement went live, but we're going to shoot that through to our investors for Playbook Ventures. Good morning. So it is 10 to 7 in the morning. I'm heading over to a networking event put on by BNI. I haven't been to one of these before, and I don't know too much about them. I have heard of them though. But this came about because someone I invited to the dinner unfortunately wasn't able to make it because he was travelling back to Brisbane and driving in very late last night, but he mentioned he was going along to this and invited me to come along. So as much as I would have loved to have stayed in bed, felt like it was a good opportunity while I'm here to meet with a bunch of folks and understand the Brisbane scene. So in the interest of taking bets and trying things, figured why not. 2:40, that's where we're going. Okay, just got done with the BNI event. It was really interesting. They have a really different format and structure that they take, being very sort of collaborative and supportive and focused on referring and kind of growing each other's businesses, which I think is a really cool model. I have a couple of meetings a little bit later this morning, so I'm just going to head back to the hotel and try and get a little bit more work done before jumping out again. All right, so today one of our Playbook Ventures portfolio companies, Everlab, just announced their $65 million Series A funding round. Obviously an incredible milestone, and what an incredible achievement. It's a testament to the hard work, pure execution and commitment to the vision and mission by the co-founders, Mark, Sam, Anshul and Stephen, as well as the rest of the Everlab team. But, despite all of the huge numbers and success that they have now, and success that seems really obvious, this wasn't always the case. Back at the start of their journey, when we met them and invested in them for the first time in their pre-seed round, not only did they not have any revenue at the time, they also didn't have a product in place. And, when we were going through our due diligence process, we spoke to a number of healthcare professionals, many of whom are extremely experienced, very knowledgeable, and know the industry inside out. And many of them said that this idea simply wouldn't work. And I think that there's a lot that we can sort of take away from this, which is that, a lot of us think about and wait for the perfect conditions to act. We want there to be certainty and, no risk whatsoever for us to feel like something is worth taking a risk. But when I think about things that have worked in my own career, as well as, what I've seen so many times from all of the really successful people that I've had good fortune of getting to know, all of them have been willing to not only see an opportunity, but be willing to jump in and act even when there's a lot of risk and a lot of uncertainty attached to it, because that's where the real opportunity lies. Came out tonight to explore a little bit of Brisbane. It's a really beautiful city, actually. So there's two things that you need to know about me. One is that I'm a huge Liverpool fan, and the second one is that my weakness is bubble tea. Hi, Viceroy for one sec. Perfect, thank you. Alright, got the drink. A brisk morning in Brisbane today. Another early start, but I'm on my way to the airport now for a flight to Sydney, where tonight we're going to do another Komo dinner. So we've got about 18-20 people coming along this evening. Should be a fun night, and then catching up with a bunch of folks while I'm there as well. So looking forward to hopefully some nice weather, some good food and some good company. And hopefully end to a good week. So when I think about things for myself, the podcast is something that completely changed the trajectory of my life. And looking at it now, it's kind of obvious, right? Especially when you see so many people, Joe Rogan selling his podcast for $100 million. You have so many people creating entire media empires around what it is that they do and their entire lives around it. But 10 years ago, I had to explain to people what a podcast was and why I was recording these conversations and what I was using it for. And back then, it wasn't obvious that, this would go anywhere or that the podcast would be anything at all. I remember that, especially in the first few years, I would get so much feedback and noise from people that would tell me that the podcast was too long, that it was too short, that it was too specific, it wasn't specific enough. I even remember someone telling me that people would get sick of hearing my voice and that I would need to get a co-host or someone to host the podcast instead of me. And conveniently, he was available to do it. So those are external challenges, and I think that's not even referencing all the internal challenges that you have, because even when you're convinced about something, there are days and moments that you question yourself and you go, what am I doing this for, and why am I spending my time, and is this going to result in anything? The thing that I've come to realize is that even people that I've had on the podcast that have had billions of dollars, they're still figuring it out as they go along as well. And so everyone experiences and feels this way. This isn't just you or me feeling like this. But the bigger part of that is that, I think doing enough of the right things or trying enough things and taking enough bets, eventually things will pay off. And, I think that a lot of people look at risk in a very binary way. So you think about a perspective of, I'm going to quit my job and start this business, but for me to make this work, the business needs to make me more money or as much money as I'm making now in the first 6 months or in the first year. Otherwise, it's a total failure and it doesn't work. What I think that we often overlook is not just a financial outcome, but what are the learnings, what are the doors and opportunities and pathways that open up for you that wouldn't have been there if you hadn't taken that step. And, a lot of these sort of things compound. So for me, again, I think about if I hadn't left my engineering jobs to start a fashion tech company, I never would have been in a position to start the podcast. And if I didn't start the podcast, I wouldn't have met all of these incredible people that I would have learnt from, that would have, created opportunities for me to start angel investing. And that wouldn't have led to, if I hadn't done that, then we wouldn't have launched Playbook Ventures. And if we didn't have Playbook Ventures and we didn't have the podcast associated with it, there's no way that we would, have enough substance that would, make us a compelling investor for really competitive deals like Everlab and some of the other companies that we've been fortunate enough to invest in. This is obviously simplifying a lot of the journey, and there were so many mistakes and failures and just things that didn't go to plan. But I think that's kind of the point, is that, not everything needs to work out, not everything needs to be perfect, but all of these things feed in. You just need to keep trying and have enough bats in the arena, enough reps, that things work. And power of compounding, especially when you do things, just is so powerful. It's just tough to describe and tough to experience, or tough to know what it feels like until you actually do it. And so there is no way that I would have thought that all of the opportunities, the friendships, the business opportunities, the investment side, like everything that's kind of come as a result of a decision that I made 10 years ago, never would have thought that that would be in my wildest dreams what would have happened. But, sometimes you just get lucky. But part of that is kind of creating your own surface area of luck and giving yourself more opportunities for the right things to happen to you. All right, I think I'm getting the run through, and the flight is definitely boarding, so I don't want to miss this. So I'm going to run, and I will see you in Sydney.
On this flight with Virgin Australia Entertainment. Welcome to Sydney.
All right, so just had lunch with one of our former cohort members, Nicole. So she just called me out on my sleep habits, because this is an issue when I was going through the cohort last time. And I haven't really improved on it, but she's keeping me accountable, which is a big part of what we do. But you were also telling me a lot about some of the changes that have kind of happened post-program. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about what's been going on for you?
Absolutely. I'm trying to think back to when I joined the program. It's more of a late 2025. Where are we now? June 2026. So part of the program, two things happened. I was part of the Everlab membership and did my diagnostics. So that's a blood test and my DEXA scan. And I remember mentioning to you, Rohit, in our one-on-one how important that was for me as part of the Komo Club and my physical health at the time. But I think the second part of the Komo Club has been just improving my confidence and my awareness of what high performance really means for me at this point in my journey, to the point where I've reshaped what I do for work and what my work looks like week to week. And yeah, well done. Keep doing what you're doing.
It's amazing to hear just all of the changes that kind of happened. This is the first time we're meeting in person as well, so good to catch up. But no, I'm really glad, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So as you would have seen, just had lunch with Nicole, who was part of cohort 2 of the Komo Club, which is a previous version of what we do. We had a great chat about all of the changes that she's made for herself, both with her health, her confidence, her deciding to leave a job and go out on her own and start a new business, and just all of the success that she's having. I was explaining that Komo is definitely a labour of love for me. It's so different to the other businesses that I've had previously, but this is definitely the most purposeful, and kind of hearing the changes that people make in their lives, however big or small, and just the impact that it has. It's just such a great feeling, and for me personally, it just kind of justifies all the time and energy and all the things that I kind of spend on it. So love the catch-ups with our alumni. They're always fun. All right, now I've got a little bit of work to do, but I'm going to head home. When I say home, head back to the hotel and get through some work, and then prep for what will be our Sydney dinner tonight. All right, so I am on my way to our Komo Sydney dinner. We've got a really great group of people. I think there's 22 people in the end, a bunch of real heavy hitters, including I think 3 or 4 former podcast guests. So it's a really great lineup of people for the session tonight. So that'll be heaps of fun. I finally got around to publishing the Life Systems episode. I did end up adding some music, doing a little bit of a touch up, but I'm glad it's finally out there. It's a little bit late, but better late than never. And one of the best bits of news from this afternoon is that we closed another member for Komo Performance. So you might recall from episode 1 where I was talking about going back to the launch of Gala and post-event being in a cab with someone and hoping to get him across the line. So he just confirmed today, which is really exciting. He's going to be an awesome addition to our community, and I just know he's a superstar. So I'm excited to have an excuse to spend more time with him as well. But good vibes heading into tonight. Looking forward to the event, and I guess you'll see the footage.
Okay, so this evening we've had a wonderful dinner here with Rohit and Komo, and it's been fascinating because there have been so many really interesting people sitting around the table. Needless to say, the food here in Nomad was magnificent, it was beautiful, but more importantly were the people around the table. Some fascinating speakers, some founders who are doing incredible things with businesses, incredible startups.
Hi, my name is Ruth Rogers. I'm the Senior Specialist at Whoop APAC. I manage all of our talent and activations there. I had a really great time tonight with everyone around the table here to celebrate Komo. And there's so many interesting people in the room. I've learned so many things, met so many cool people.
My name is Matt Loop. I lead the Asia Pacific business for Rippling. I've been with them for 3 years, and I've been I guess a pseudo outside member of Komo Club now for a bit over a year. Heard about it, and this was actually the first time I've been able to attend a live event. And for me, I've worked for very fast-moving, always on, high octane and high stress organizations for 20 years now. And I think in the world we live in today that's moving faster than ever, it's hugely important to be able to disconnect, to look after physical health, mental health. And tonight was all about, I think, coming together with other people that care deeply about that, hearing a great story from Dean and his journey and a ton of vulnerability of him sharing his experiences, and just talk about ways that all of us are dealing with the pressures of running businesses as starters, as executives. And so wonderful evening, great food, good times, and appreciate the invite, Rohit.
I'm Dean McAvoy. I'm a founder and investor. Started a bunch of companies. Spreet's the best known one. We sold that for $40 million a year after we started it. It's been such a great night here tonight, not only being able to catch up with peers and talk to other people, but I think to be able to vulnerably share the problems that are going on with your business and to have other people in the room that can help you solve them is great. I think Rohit's brought a great group of people together, and that's part of, I think, what Komo does is bring great people together in the room to help you solve the problems you need, to help you get the things done in the business, to help you solve the problems that are going on in your world, because you can't really be a good business without a good founder.
So if you get a chance to come and visit with Rohit and enjoy one of the dinners that he puts on and meet the fascinating people, you've got to do it.
All right, so I am now back at the hotel after our Sydney Komo dinner, and this dinner was great. I think a lot of energy. I think there's always a great sign whenever you're holding an event, when the venue has to tell you to leave multiple times. So I think we left at like 10 past 11, and a lot of people were sticking around till the end. Even then, we still had to get sort of pushed out. But no, it was great. We had a guest speaker, Dean McAvoy, who was really open and vulnerable with his experiences and his lessons. And it was just an awesome group. We had a really stellar and stacked lineup of people coming along. We had a few Komo members that I knew. We had some people that I've known for a long time, some people that I had known over the internet but hadn't met in person, and then a bunch of people I was just meeting for the first time. And no, it was just really, really, really good. Feeling on a high after that. That was great. So all in all, really great, positive day. And not that I kind of felt deflated after Brisbane, but it felt like kind of like little things were off in terms of detail. And you know, it's funny, that was just 2 days ago. It feels like a lifetime ago, but that was just 2 days ago. And I think, not to harp on about this, but I think like that's kind of the point, is you're not going to be perfect when you start, you know, and there's so many things that you're not going to know or realize about something, anything, whether it is a business, an event, or whatever it is that you're kind of organizing. You're just not going to know until you do it. You do the thing and then you figure out what people want. And I think that the fundamentals have always been right. I think today was just, it was good. It was good. I'm feeling good about it. Okay, as you might be able to tell, I am sleepy. So I'm gonna hit the hay. I've got some meetings in the morning. Let's see what tomorrow brings. But today was a really good day. Okay, it is the morning after the Sydney Komo dinner. The event went really well. Got a good night's sleep in, but it's been a bit of a hectic morning so far. Had a couple of meetings. So one was with a investor from Playbook Ventures, just catching up with him and seeing how he's doing, and then caught up with someone who unfortunately wasn't able to make it to the dinner last night, but had some time today to catch up and find out a little bit more about what we're doing. Now I'm in an Uber on my way to meeting someone that we're exploring getting them as a podcast guest for the show. So looking forward to learning a little bit more about the company and about the person. Yeah, hoping that this afternoon I've got some more meetings, but hoping to get some time to both have lunch at my favourite spot in town, and also some downtime. Like, I'd love to spend a bit of time relaxing and exploring a bit around Sydney, but we'll see how that goes. Just one? All right, so I am back at the hotel now, and it was a busy afternoon. Today ended up being a bit of a hectic day in the end with lots of meetings, but that was really positive, and had a really good chat with someone who we're looking to get on the podcast. Turns out that a couple of months ago they announced that they are now at $1 billion valuation, and really interesting company doing cool stuff. But what was the most interesting for me was just how when we caught up and spoke, we weren't really talking about the business or business tactics, but really kind of the human side of things. And I think there's just like so much interesting, alignment and shared perspectives and values, which I think always makes for a really sort of fun conversation. So he's Sydney based. We're just going to coordinate logistics and work out whether we do the interview at my studio in Melbourne, or we do it next time I'm up in Sydney, which will probably be in the next couple of weeks. All right, and that ends another really big week. As you saw, this week was dinners in Brisbane and Sydney, adding new members for Komo, talking to podcast guests who have founded billion-dollar companies. All of these are obviously highlights, and there's a lot of other things in between. But, as I reflect on everything that happened this week, realize that none of this would have been possible without the first step and many subsequent steps of taking leaps into uncertainty and be willing to try things. If you asked me 10 years ago whether I would be investing and have an investment syndicate and, be flying around Australia doing dinners for successful founders and executives, or had, founders of billion-dollar companies and their teams reaching out to be on the podcast, I never would have thought that is where my life would have ended up. And that just seems so far away and such a stretch and so unreasonable of an ask to have. But, I think that for me, it is a good lesson and a reminder that certainty only comes in hindsight. And there's no such thing as perfect conditions to start. You just have to do it and be willing to take a risk, take a leap into the uncertainty, and know that not everything will work, but that is the point. Not everything is supposed to work, but everything's supposed to be an opportunity to learn and get better and improve. And the more you do things, the more you try things, sooner or later, you will find something that will completely change the trajectory of your life in the same way that it has done for me. So if you're watching and if you're thinking about starting a podcast, newsletter, startup idea, whatever it is, you don't need to quit your job and go all in, but start making progress, start doing some things, start validating your idea, and you will learn so much more in that process rather than trying to think about the perfect plan and strategy and when to do things. So on that note, it's been a big couple of weeks. I am looking forward to getting back to Melbourne and getting some sleep in. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for tuning in. As I said, as I've mentioned previously, this Life Systems video series is meant to be a way to kind of capture a lot of the lessons that are coming up through everything that I'm doing. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any feedback, drop them into the comments below or feel free to reach out to me on social media. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next episode.